Good evening, Broncos country. Let's give it a moment for the stream to breathe. We want to make this an all-inclusive platform, making sure all of our platforms are involved here. Oh, and it looks like we are good. Welcoming everyone to another installment of the Orange and Blue View. I am one of your co-hosts, Ron White, and you might be thinking, "Where's my usual?" Usual's not here tonight. He had he had a prior engagement, but I do have Mr. Lance Sanderson filling in for me here tonight. Thank you, Lance, again for coming in. How are you doing, my man?
Doing great, Ron. Thanks for having me on. It's always good to get some different perspectives. I say this every time I get a chance to go on any other show other than Dove Valley Deep Divers on Fridays. But get in, have a fun conversation get outside of that echo chamber, get some new opinions, some new perspectives, and whatnot. So I'm glad that you're having me on. I'm looking forward to it, dude. And thank you for having me, man.
Oh yeah, no problem at all. And you're right. It's good to have different folks from the Mile High community, get different folks with different opinions. So again, thank you for coming in. We want to say hey to a few people in the chat. We got David Yonkin coming in. Thank you, David. We appreciate you, my guy. He says, "Evening, everyone. Hope everyone who served and who lost a loved one is having a great weekend. And thanks to everyone that served and died for me. Thank you for your service." Yes, David. Thank you for
Yes.
bringing this up. We appreciate it. Happy Memorial Day weekend to everyone, all who served. Of course, we wouldn't be here without you guys. So we appreciate your service.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a somber weekend. As much as it's a fun weekend, everybody likes to go out and go
Yep.
have fun. But always remember, without the people who died and gave that ultimate sacrifice in our military, whether it's the Army, Marines, Air Force, Navy, does not matter. The people who gave that ultimate sacrifice died for our freedoms to go and have fun this weekend, and for you guys to be here to enjoy a wonderful Saturday evening with us. So again, happy Memorial Day to everybody. Enjoy your loved ones, have fun,
Yes.
be safe, and please make sure you come back around so that we can see you again here in the next couple of days. All right. So don't do anything stupid. Don't go out, drive drunk and get
Yes.
crazy. Enjoy your free time, enjoy the day off, but also remember why you have that free day off this weekend.
Right. Always remember the reason. Right. I always
Yep.
say this for holidays. Remember the reason why these holidays are here. And you're right. Please be safe. They're going to be out there. So please be safe in anything that you do. But again, David, thank you very much for coming in with that comment. We appreciate it. We got the Papa Bear coming in. David McElrath, thank you, sir, for chiming in, podcasting and podcast out. We appreciate it, guy. He says, "Good evening, Broncos country. Hashtag Knicks for six. Hashtag 2024." He has that 12-5 prediction going again. Thank you, David. It'll be
Awesome.
good if the Broncos get to 12-5. That's more than likely a division winner. But we'll see what happens, how it all pans out. But again, my guy, thank you for coming in. We appreciate it.
I want to grab this comment really fast here because
Sure.
we got our boy Kenny Booker jumping in here. KB82 saying, "What's up, fellas? Wait to be riding with you again. Happy
Yes,
Memorial Day
Kenny.
at Kenneth_MHH." Way to break the news to me, at least. I did not know you were joining us back again, Kenny. Dude, I'm so excited. And again, thank you for your service because I know that you took some time I believe it was the
Mhm.
Army to go and serve for us. So thank you for your service. But dude, I'm so excited to have you back joining with us here at Mile High Huddle. Like you bring so many different insights and different perspectives. I'm stupid excited for you to be back. One of these days, we'll have to get you on a podcast, dude, because you are just so much fun, bright, and awesome, man. I'm stoked, super stoked. That this is one of the biggest things to make my day today. To tell you the truth, over the moon right now. Seriously, Kenny's awesome.
So I guess, yeah, tidbit of breaking news. Hey, Kenny, thank you for joining and breaking the news, my guy. That is exciting. That is exciting to have you back writing. And you're right, Lance. Kenny does definitely bring about a different perspective, which I like
Mm.
reading. So again, my guy, thank you for letting us know, and it'll be good to have you back. All righty, I want to grab Kevin Gray. evening, Broncos country. Thank you, sir, for coming in. Mile high salute to Broncos country. Denver Broncos for life. MHH for life. Thank you, my guy. Thank you, my guy. All righty. Let's see who else we have. Oh, we got Samantha McCurdy coming in. New name for me, but thank you for coming in. She says, "Good afternoon, everyone. My daughters say go Broncos." Yes. Tell your daughters thanks. Yes. Always go Broncos. Thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. Um, so we want to get into, Lance, the kind of the title of the stream tonight. And I will preface this by saying that this was inspired, everyone, by a recent PFF article that was released. I believe it was just a few days ago. And this article highlighted PFF did like an analysis of all 32 teams, and it analyzed the three top players on each of the teams. So we'll reveal that list later. But we decided to do our own list of, we want to kind of separate both sides of the ball. So we have top three on offense, top three on defense heading into 2024. And I know, Lance, you and Eric did your 53-man projection last night. And so why don't we start with kind of who do you have? Let's start with offense. On who do you have as maybe a player or two that's top on offense that we can kick it off with?
Do we want to say hello to AG1 real fast before we get into that, or do we want
Yeah,
to?
we can say we can kick it off to AG1. So first, our sponsor, AG1. The older I get, the more seriously I know I have to take care of my health and my nutrition. Still young, but getting old, as we all are. So here comes AG1 to help us with that. So no matter what you guys do for a living, it becomes all too convenient to pick up your Red Bull, go to the Keurig for that second or third cup of coffee to gain that extra energy and focus. But that's not great for your body all the time, especially with things such as high blood pressure. And there's always that dreaded crash. But with AG1, I get to sustain energy, and I'm not reaching for that extra cup of coffee or that jolt, as I was just alluding to. So, on top of that, I can't stand swallowing those big, gigantic multivitamins. And we all know how crucially important it is to take care of your gut health when it comes to probiotics. So AG1 checks all of these boxes and does so in an impressive fashion. Focus, energy, nutrition, and improved gut health all in one delicious smoothie. AG1 is some next level stuff.
Yeah, guys, it is absolutely next level. AG1 is a supplement that you should trust to support your whole body health and help you feel your best. If you want to take ownership of your health, it starts with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3, K2, and 5 free AG1 travel packs when you first subscribe. Go to drinkag1.com/huddle. Again, drinkag1.com/huddle. You get that 1-year supply of the vitamins and the 5 free travel packs when you first subscribe. Check it out, guys. This is great stuff here.
Yep. Alrighty. So yeah, I guess switching to your top folks on offense, who do you want to kick us off with there, Lance?
Do we want to go one for one? Or do you want me to give me all three? Because I've got a long spiel on each of them.
You can run them down. So let's run down all three, and then we can have a discussion on kind of each one of them that you have.
All right. So the best player on this offense is easily, in my opinion, Quinn Miners. Right guard, he is a bully in the running game. He's a quality pass protector. He's that attitude that you like to see up front on your offensive line. He is the leader, from what I understand, of this offensive line group outside of Garrett Bowles, who is also on my top three. He's actually number 3 on this list. This offensive line needs to get a lot more credit than what it is that has been given to them for a couple of years now. Last season with Russell Wilson was awful. It wasn't it wasn't necessarily their fault up front, though. Getting the ball out on time with rhythm,
Mhm.
with accuracy, playing within the structure of the offense is definitely going to help these guys. But Miners is really the one that stands out to me as the best player on this offense, and I believe that he's going to earn another Pro Bowl nod. He's going to get
Mhm.
paid. When I say paid, I mean capital P, capital A, capital I, capital D, paid by this Denver Broncos team. And if he doesn't, it's a moronic decision, in my opinion. Garrett Bowles is, again, for me, I stand on this pedestal a lot for my love for Garrett Bowles, because you don't get a top 7 pass protecting left tackle like this very often. And everyone wants to crap on him because of the holding penalties. But this dude is solid. He's consistent. He's there year in and year out. He plays damn near every snap on the offensive side of the football, outside of a couple of years ago where he had that broken leg. But then he came back, played solid again, and he's just a reliable player that you can depend on. Again, another quality leader in the clubhouse. And then my third guy here is the one that's probably the most controversial, because we don't exactly know what's going on with him. And he's also one guy that's been lauded for quality performance, even though it hasn't necessarily been there. Outside of touchdown catches, Courtland Sutton has been really up and down for the majority of his career, but he's still a top 3 player on this offense. He's going to be wide receiver 1 no matter what. He's going to be that solidifying presence for Bo Nix or Jarrett Stidham or Zach Wilson, whoever wins the starting quarterback job. It's Bo Nix, by the way. But
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
like these without these 3 particular players, and without Courtland Sutton in general, you can't have quality quarterback play, because if you don't have protection up front and receivers that can find a way to catch the football and get themselves open, or make those those quality contested catches like Courtland Sutton could, your quarterback can't be successful to begin with. So those 3 guys are the ones that really stuck out to me when going through this 53-man roster projection that Eric and I have done. And like, those are the 3 players that you have to be able to hang your hat on.
And my list is exactly the same list as yours. I mean, you summed it up perfectly with Quinn Miners. I mean, that I would say, well, definitely the best player on the offensive line for sure.
Yeah.
Just what that guy can do. He's just in the run game, how I've seen him move. He's just such a mauler. And you're right. Based on what he's done these past few seasons, he's definitely going to get a big payday, and it's well deserved. Well deserved. Garrett Bowles for sure is another one. I would say, in my opinion, above average left tackle play. And I do see the same moving forward. And then Courtland Sutton. Now, I think with Courtland Sutton, you can the production is there. Now, some may say, he doesn't have the receptions, the yards, but the touchdowns. Obviously, he was leading the team in touchdowns last year. So, with that production, how can he not be in the top 3 from an offensive perspective? Now, I hope with Courtland Sutton, I hope all this works out. With the contract, him missing beginning of OTAs. Obviously, if he's missing the start of that mandatory minicamp, then that's when it's going to start with the fines. So hopefully all that can get resolved before then. But you're right there, Lance. When he's on the field, and it's such a good thing for this offense, and it would also help someone like a rookie quarterback having stability with the offensive line, and having a true number 1 wide receiver in Courtland Sutton is going to help. You just mentioned presumably the starting quarterback in Bo Nix. So, I think obviously we're sharing the same brain when it comes to the players on offense for sure.
I think the one thing that really kind of hung me up a little bit was whether I was going to add Bowles into this list, or if I was going to go to the running back position and get a guy like Samaje Perine, or, Javonte Williams, Audric Estime, whoever might be the really bell cow back. To me, I think with Estime in there, you kind of make Javonte Williams a little bit expendable, because they have such a
Yes.
similar skill set. And from everything I've heard, I'm talking with Eric, he mentioned it last night on Dove Valley Deep Divers. There's some rumblings that Javonte Williams is kind of falling out of favor, with this Broncos locker room, with the team in general. So You go and you get a guy like Audric Estime, who is that bully, battering ram style of player who can offer some receiving skill set out of the backfield, a quality pass protector. Samaje Perine is just enough different than Estime that you can maybe kind of see that correlation like what we saw last season. And then obviously you got Jaleel McLaughlin, you've got Blake Watson, you've got Michael Burton in there at the fullback position. Like, not that he's going to be really a huge factor, but like, thinking of this running back position, is there anybody that you would put up there above a Bowles or even a Cortland Sutton, given the fact that this team is going to want to run the football?
I don't, and I was thinking the same thing. I don't have anyone currently, on in the running back group ahead of these three, just because. Now, again, we know what Javonte can be,
mm-hmm.
and I think that's where I hesitated a bit, just because, when people say, Javonte is a good back, yes, he's great, but I'm going on what I saw last season, and he wasn't himself. And we know part of that is because I think he's still trying to get back to full strength from that injury. And so that was the reason why I made that reservation of maybe not Javonte in this list yet. But if Javonte does, I know it takes maybe 2 seasons fully, right, to kind of get back to form. And if we start to see some of the shades of the old Javonte Lance, then he can definitely be in consideration for the top 3. Now, you're right on the running back. It's Audric Estime. I'm with you. I think some folks disagree with me, but they've selected Estime to be Javonte's replacement at some point.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So I think from what I've seen at Notre Dame, he can and the guy's massive. So him, coming in, bullying people, I think it's definitely going to be a good thing for this offense. They have their Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara tandem in a way of Estime and Blake Watson, which we'll get in here too as well. Because he's also another one, and I've heard rumblings from rookie mini camp and some of the OTAs that he's impressed as well. But I would say right now, I don't put anybody in the running back group ahead of the top 3 that we listed.
Again, it goes back to what this team is actually going to be like, what it's going to look like. What are they going to do? Like, that's the big thing, is what are they going to do with this offensive system, with this offensive structure, and how are they going to make it easy for Bo Nix or it doesn't matter what quarterback, it's Bo Nix. How are they going to make it easy for him? Run the damn football. Like, you gotta have a player that can go out there and be a massive workhorse for you within the offense and dictate the pace and make it easier. Open up those play action shot plays over the middle of the field. Get the ball down the field if you want to. Open up those windows, if you will, because it's not that Bo Nix can't force those gigantic deep balls and whatnot. He can do that. It's the tight window throws. So if you're allowing your running game to crash everybody in to open up windows for Bo Nix to distribute the football, then that's a great way to help him succeed. And you got to have a good running game to do that. That said, holy hell, we have to grab this because Papa Chad jumps in here
off the
top rope. Off the top rope here. $100 super chat. Good Lord. He says, thanks for keeping the MHH family fed during a holiday weekend. Would have been easy to take it off. Prayers up, the whole 9 yards. Yes. Chad jumps in here. Thank you, boss. This is amazing. This is awesome. Yes. And thank you for everything you've done for me, for everything. I'm going to speak for Ron here as well, but everything you've done for us. You allow us to be on your platform. This is your baby. You allow us to do this for you. And it changed my life, sincerely changed my life. It changed everything that I've known. It changed my passion for football. It changed my drive to analyze the game. This right here means everything to me, man. Thank you so much.
Yes, boss man. Thank you for believing in me, giving me an opportunity to discuss Broncos football. I came from the community. And you
Yeah.
were so, receptive of me coming on, staff and writing and podcasting. So again, I wouldn't be here without you. You're right, giving us this platform to, and just enjoy what we, enjoy the game, enjoy Broncos, and, talking about what we're passionate about. So again, thank you very much, Chad, for coming in. We love you, man. We love you for sure. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Love you,
All right.
buddy.
And then I want to grab Jerron Washington here coming in. Speaking of the running backs, I like Javonte Williams and Jaleel. And I do too, Jerron. I do. Again, Javonte has always I've always liked his running style, his game. Coming out of North Carolina, there have been so many plays, Lance, we can get back to his rookie
Mhm.
season where he just mauled guys. And again, we want him to try to get back to that. And that's the thing, because I saw a lot last year, Lance, where I feel as though he was just fighting for every yard. It was just so hard to watch. And you're right on Jaleel McLaughlin as well. I think he's very shifty, very twitchy. But I think with Jaleel, it's like, you know, you know what he's going to be, why he's going to be on the field. Like if they put him
Yep.
on the field, why. That kind of tells why. So if he can kind of
Yep.
improve, a bit, kind of his overall ability, I think that'll go a long way for the Broncos, Jaron. But yeah, I like both guys. Both guys provide a very value add to this team, but they just need to improve a bit. Again, hopefully Javonte can get back to what he was coming out of North Carolina.
That's the big thing, is showing the improvement year over year coming off of that torn ACL in his sophomore season. Like, he didn't show that really gritty, drive it through your chest bone mentality
Yeah,
that he did as a runner this last season, and
yeah,
especially later towards the end of the year, where they took Javonte Williams off the field in favor of Samaje Perine. To Jaleel McLaughlin, like you said, every time he was on the football field, he touched the football. It was like 75% of his snaps or something ridiculous like that. He carried or caught the football when he was out there. It was kind of a tell. It
mhm,
was like,
yeah,
I talked about it last night on Dove Valley Deep Divers, like a poker player. When you can see their eyes move and they have this tell on their face, like you knew exactly what was happening. Kind of like with Philip Lindsay, you knew when Philip Lindsay was on the
mhm,
football field, he was running the football because he's not good enough in pass protection. He's not
blocking.
a great
Yeah,
receiver. McLaughlin can receive the football. He can catch. He's elusive out in space and whatnot. But every time he's on the field, he has to touch the football because he can't do anything else to really change the pace of the offense. That's where I think that Blake Watson steps in here, quite honestly, because he is a quality runner between the tackles. He is a
mhm,
quality pass protecting back out of the backfield. He can make those explosive plays in the receiving game. Jaleel McLaughlin might be the odd man out on this roster because they bring in Blake Watson, and as you alluded to here, Ron, he shined in the rookie minicamp and early in OTAs. There are a lot
yeah,
of positive reports about Blake Watson coming out here and potentially stealing a spot, maybe even landing on the 53-man roster to open this
mhm,
season. Like,
yeah.
it's not that I don't like Jaleel McLaughlin. I love what he brings to the table. I love Javonte Williams as well. They got to show more, though, from what they did
Yeah.
last year for me to be really entrenched in them being like the guy to be the game changing running back for this team.
Yeah. I couldn't sum it up any better than that, Lance. And I'm high on Blake Watson. Again, what I saw from him
I
coming
know you
out
are.
of Memphis, and I was hoping that, luckily he fell undrafted. They were able to get him, but I was begging on them trying to select him in one of the later rounds. I was like, I hope he's there because I know he was getting a lot of buzz, prior to draft. But yeah, got Gary coming in with the 1999 super chat. Thank you, Gary, for coming in. We
What's up,
appreciate it. He says,
GLP?
I totally agree with Chad. We are grateful dudes. Yes, we are, Gary. Go Broncos. Yes, Gary. What's up, my man? Thank you for coming in. We appreciate it. We appreciate it.
Yeah, GLP. Your support's always greatly appreciated here. You're one of the many that come on in every single night, whether it's Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, even
Mhm.
on the morning shows. You come in with great support, and it's always well appreciated. You help keep the lights on here, and we're thankful for you guys, because without you guys, we couldn't do what we do best, which is cover your Denver Broncos. Like, it's
Yeah.
awesome to be able to do this, and without you
Yeah.
guys we couldn't do it. So I want to grab this comment here from Dean Thompson. It's over on Facebook. We don't have Scott tonight, guys, so I'm not sure if this has stars, but this is a good question. Dean comes in and says, hey guys, this is going to be a magical Mile High season for us. Bo Nix will definitely be the quarterback one, starting week one. We will blow the minds out of who all we play this year. We'll be a playoff bound, if not Super Bowl bound this season. Have a special team with a lot of talent. Enjoy the ride, Broncos fans. So thank you, Dean. I thought there was a question attached to that, but it just wanted to give the shout out here. Playoff bound, Ron?
Thank you, Dean, for coming in. Lance, I'm not there yet with playoff bound. I'm not. I think this season it's just going to be an evaluation season. This is just the Bo Nix evaluation season.
Me too.
Now, I again, anything can happen, guys, and I say this a lot, Lance, where any team can be the 2023 and 2024 Houston Texans team if everything falls right.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think there's still a lot of work for this team to do before we start talking playoffs. And again, we just have to see how Bo Nix adjusts. Now, I am encouraged from the clips I've seen from rookie minicamp and OTAs. He does look like, he's sharp. He's picking it up well, picking up the offense well. So I am encouraged. But I want to, Dean, I kind of want to, pause and take a step back to kind of look at the overall team and say, hey, I'm not quite there yet with playoffs. Now, I'm going to say maybe Lance in a 2 or 3 year window, maybe give another 2 or 3 years, I can maybe see this team, in playoff contention. But I just think next year might be a little too soon. But then again, anything can happen.
I think this year's a little too soon for a playoff contention and even Super Bowl, to tell you the truth. But
Oh yeah, definitely Super Bowl. Yeah.
something that I mean, things can go crazy, and I guess, Ron, I'm going to ask you a question here, because
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's pertinent. How much do you value the coaching ability of Sean Payton? And I understand we have the rookie quarterback, the quarterback situation in whole. Kind of a lack of offensive weaponry, to tell you the truth, because there's no true tight end. The running back room is going to be a
Yeah.
rotation. There's no really standout wide receiver one on this team. Like, Courtland Sutton is fine, but he's not DeAndre Hopkins. He's not Stephon Diggs. Not Justin Jefferson by any stretch of the imagination. But all that said, how much do you value the coaching ability of Sean Payton to go out there, Super Bowl winning coach, to go out there and guide this team to a much better record than even Vegas predicts? Because I think they have like 5.5 wins.
5.5
Do you
wins.
think do you think that Sean Payton can get you to 7, 8, 9, maybe 10 wins? Is that a possibility, do you think?
I mean, well, we got 8 wins last year. So, the roster wasn't the best last year.
That's
And then you
also
have to think about,
uh,
Russell Wilson,
mhm.
bad quarterback play. And I know a lot of that last year. Obviously, we were on that winning streak and the turnover luck went our way. So again, you have to kind of consider a lot of those factors last year as it became the 8 win. But I mean, I think I do, to answer your question face value. Yes, I do trust and believe in the coaching of Sean Payton.
Yeah, me
I
too.
do. And I think, again, based on, he has this signal caller now. And you're right. I think the as far as the weaponry, it's not flashy, right? But you do have solid weaponry. Again, if we're banking, hopefully Cortland Sutton comes back. Josh Reynolds is no scrub.
Mm-hmm.
We're wanting to see a step forward for Marvin Mims and some of these other folks. Obviously, Troy Flankin provides that yak ability. So, I'm encouraged, Lance, and I do trust what Sean Payton can do for this team. Um, But again, the reason why I kind of want to hold a little bit on the playoff is just because it's a rookie signal caller. That's the
Yeah.
main reason. That's why I would say, hey, maybe not playoffs at this point, just because some time for Bo Nix to adjust. That's kind of where I land. But yeah,
Uh,
I still trust Sean Payton.
Well, I'm right there with you, and that kind of ties into this bottom three for the Broncos offense right now. And for me, it's the bottom three is whatever tight end is on the field. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter if it's Adam Troutman,
yeah,
doesn't matter if it's Lucas Kroll, doesn't matter if it's Greg Dulcich. I mean, I have high hopes for Greg Dulcich. Don't get me
we
wrong,
all do. Yeah,
but you
yeah,
got to stay healthy, dude. Like the
yeah.
tight end position for this Broncos team is atrocious. It's the worst position group on the roster, without question, in my opinion. Um, but then right after that, you've got the starting center. Is it Sam Mustipher, who was one of the worst starting centers in the NFL last season? Is it Alex Forsyth, who we all like? We love we love the ability to go out there and be a mauler in the running game. He hasn't played much at the NFL level. He has some experience with Bo Nix, so there's kind of a factor there, but we don't know what he is. Same with Luke Wattenberg, who played as a rookie, played last season, and we really don't know exactly what he is either. So
Mhm.
like you've got those problems, and then it comes back to the main focus of this season, Bo Nix, the quarterback
Mhm.
play. You're going to have bottom tier quarterback play, and as much as I pray that Bo Nix steps in immediately, he's going to be one of the bottom three players on this Broncos offense, and that's just a fact. You got the rookie learning curve. You have the fact
Mhm.
that understanding the speed and the overall difficulty of playing in the NFL. You have to focus on Bo Nix and understand that while it's going to be rough to watch, what does he show you that's going to be positive? It's going to be bad, but what does he show you that's going to be positive that you have to take away from?
Yeah, I think with Bo Nix, it's you're just looking to see how well Bo Nix can run Sean Payton's offense.
Yeah,
It's really, can he make the throws? Can he make the reads? Can he read pre-snap? Look at the coverages, and I think that's kind of where the evaluation is going to come. Now, you're right in the sense of there's going to be some bad, there's going to be some good, but there's going to be some bad, and but it's how do you overcome the bad? Like, can you bounce back from the bad? And I think that's where this coaching staff, specifically Sean Payton, is looking at. But I'm with you. Going back to your bottom three players on offense, I have McGlinchey, Zach Wilson, and Adam Troutman. Those are my three. Um, and Adam Troutman, just because the tight end position. I could have even thrown out Greg Dulcich there too, but just tight end in general, bottom position on this team. And anything we can get, if Greg Dulcich is healthy, Lance, anything we can get from him, would kind of be the cherry on top of here. But that hamstring has just been not his best friend. And then with Mike McGlinchey, I don't know. It, there's some good, there's some bad. I just hope he can improve, be more consistent, cut out the penalties. We saw that a lot last year. And then with Zach Wilson, I kind of ran out of players there for the bottom, but I'm looking at what we saw with the Jets, but apparently from OTAs, it looks like he's, at least from what Sean Payton said, he's picking up the offense well. But yeah, tight end I think is the big thing here.
yeah.
Just because you need that person to kind of stretch the field and be in the seams and be that thread in the middle. And the Broncos just they don't have that. Now I did hear Lucas Kroll getting some buzz there in
Yep.
camp, so we'll see what comes of that. But if they can have some sort of stability at the tight end position, that can only help Bo Nix.
I think with Dulcich, going back to that, and the upside's there, guys. Like honestly,
Mhm.
it's there. the athleticism, the catch radius, the ability to create wicked mismatches. We talked about it last night on Dove Valley Deep Divers. Go check it out. But like you've got a guy that runs like a 4.5, 440, 255 pounds. He's got great size, got a great, again, a great catch radius, length. He's incredibly athletic for what he is. You with him, the health is the big thing. And if he can stay healthy, and right now it's a foot thing. So he's not participating in OTAs because he's got a foot issue. The hamstrings are the ones that are going to get him. But if he can be healthy and he can prove to be the player that I think that he can be, I was a huge fan of him at UCLA.
Mm-hmm.
He can be a massive difference maker for this Broncos offense. And that might change the tide for what this team could do offensively, because when you can get, like you said, work the seams, work over the middle of the field, create those mismatches, work against tight ends or against linebackers and safeties, and just kind of bully them around, be bigger than cornerbacks, just and do everything that you can with that size, that athleticism. It makes it so much more difficult for a team to guard him. Like you can't really line up anybody on him and take him away. So the health of him, the health of Greg Dulcich changes everything right now. And it might change the way that I think about this tight end room. But as it stands currently, if you can't be on the field, then you can't be effective, plain and simple. And like go back a couple of years, I'm going on a tangent here, but I apologize for that. A couple of years ago, the Broncos played, I believe it was the Jacksonville Jaguars. In London.
I was going to bring that game up. I was going to bring that same game up.
I wrote a film breakdown of this game because the Broncos actually did something that was so cool. Understanding that Greg Dulcich is healthy and they have KJ Hamler. And they lined those guys up side by side in the slot, and they worked their speed and their ability to create different angles and their route running ability with each other. And they hit Greg Dulcich, I believe, on a 72-yard reception. They hit him for a whole big-time touchdown. The whole it was like 3 plays out of the 5-play drive. They worked this combination. If Greg Dulcich is healthy and available to do that, pair that up with Troy Franklin, pair that up with Marvin Mims, and let's go to work, because you can attack and exploit defenses with that, because there's no way they can stop you.
Yeah, and Martin Mims, Sutton rotation, and Tim Patrick. Just imagine it. You're right. It changes the outlook of the offense. Again, I hope Greg Dulcich. You're right. I was a big fan of him coming out of UCLA. He did show promise as a rookie, and there were a few games. The Jacksonville Jaguars game definitely stands out. I think it was a game against the Chargers where he was left wide open.
Yep.
And Russ hit him. So the potential, the big play threat is there. It's just a matter of, you're right. You got to be healthy. You got to be available. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's see who we got in the chat. Getting back here. Got Money Moore coming in. Thank you. He says 10 wins would be a massive overachievement for this team, let alone playoffs. Yes, it would definitely be that, Mooney, for sure. Yeah. But again, it's not, anything can happen. It's not out of the realm of the possible. But again, I'm just being realistic in the sense of the adjustment with the rookie quarterback. Now, CJ Stroud, was an anomaly. He came out of the gates firing, but I just think if this team could even get to, 7 and 8 wins and they see progress or potential from Knicks, I think that's all everyone can ask for.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right on. I think it'll be a massive overachievement, but we'll see.
Well, we got DTR jumping in here with the $10 super chat, talking about Bo Nix a little bit. Evening, Ron and Lance. Here's 10 in honor of our field general, number 10, and the 10 that's going in the win column this year. Hashtag 10 and 7. Hashtag Bo knows. Hashtag Nix for 6. And the whole Bo Nix dynamic of this conversation is so interesting because 24 years old, 61 starts in college. You expect him to be able to kind of hit the ground running. I don't want to say that he's going to be like an elite or effective quarterback here. And Ron, you touched on something that Eric and I went back and forth a little bit about, the development of Bo Nix. What are your expectations for Bo Nix in year number 1? And to me, I agree with Eric in this sense. Showing command of the offense, understanding how to distribute the football, playing with timing, anticipation, and accuracy.
Mhm.
But then do it 1 week, then have a bad week, and then get back and show the growth the week after that.
Mhm.
Consistent growth, game over game over game over game. Understanding where to go with the football and playing within what you are being told to do, and then showing growth, showing a little bit more creativity than you did at Oregon and even back at Auburn. That should be the expectation. Consistent growth, man. What do you think?
No, I agree. I agree, 100%. Development, again, bounce as I mentioned earlier, bouncing back from mistakes because it's all, it's not all about, just making this mistake. And I think Kurt Warner and a few others mentioned this, but it's how do you bounce back?
Yep.
And I did watch Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner does his I think leading up to the draft, he did like his analysis on the top quarterbacks. And I believe Bo Nix was, I think, number 5 or 6, kind of what he had. And he mentioned it. Like in college at Oregon, that decision making was key. That
Yep.
throwing with anticipation, knowing the reads, and taking off and running, the athleticism to a degree. So again, if we
Yep.
can see that, consistently, again, there are going to be times when it's not there. Again, he does make a mistake, but again, it's the bouncing back and how do you command the offense? Because the more of a command you can get of the offense and the better in tune you can get with the players, that could only go so far and help the team overall moving into the 2025 and 2026 season. So again, that's all we're looking for is just how do you develop and then how do you take command of the offense?
I think another thing that you need to look for is Bo Nix. Are you good enough to stop this team if they don't go 10-7? So let's say that they don't go 10-7 because that's going to be again a massive overachievement, and at least in my
Yeah.
opinion. Let's say you go 5-12. Bo Nix, did you do enough to prove to this team that you are the guy moving forward that's going to have a top 5 pick that might be able to take, Carson Beck or Quinn Ewers or Shador Sanders or name any of the other top quarterbacks in this next year's draft class? Have you done enough, Bo Nix, that we want to pin our future to you specifically? Like, show us the flashes, show us some consistency, show us that you can bounce back from whether it's a physical mistake, not being able to drive the football into the tight window, or a mental mistake where you miss your read and throw it directly in the chest of a defender for a pick six. Can you bounce back and then lead a touchdown drive? Can you get points when you absolutely need them to be there? And he showed that at Oregon. Oregon's fun. It was fun to watch him. This is the NFL, guys. The
Yeah.
National Effing Football League. You have to be able to bounce back from those mistakes and then be able to produce on the backside of that. So, long convoluted way of like explaining my expectations for Bo Nix because they are very, very, very in depth. But that's the cliff
Mhm.
notes: competency, creativity, growth, and development are the big
Mhm.
4 things that I'm looking for this year for Bo Nix.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Agreed. All right, Lance. So now we've discussed the offense. Let's switch to top 3 players that you have on defense.
All right. So I've got one that's going to be obvious. Everybody knows it's Pat Surtain. He's the best football player on this team right now, regardless of
Mhm.
position. Pat Surtain is the best football player on the Denver Broncos. He's the best cornerback in the NFL. And again, talk about capital P, capital A, capital I, capital D. Dude's going to get paid.
Paid. Oh yes. Oh yes.
Paid. Duh. With
Mhm.
explanation points. If you need 4 or 5 D's at the end of it, you're good.
Mhm.
Like, that's what this describe Pat Surtain like that. The next guy, John Franklin Myers. The Broncos made a huge addition by getting John Franklin Myers for a future 2026 sixth
For
round pick.
nothing.
Pretty much nothing. He's one of the most productive 5 or 4 eye technique interior pass rushers on the planet in terms of creating pressure. He's going to help out Zach Allen in ways that nobody else could for this Broncos team last season. And he's going to be a massive, massive player for this Broncos team. And my third guy, I know I just mentioned Zach Allen. I think this is the year that we really do see the rise and shine of PJ Locke. I think PJ Locke is going to take off this year. Brought back on a 1-year deal, cheap deal, former undrafted free agent. He played so well this last season. Stepping into a starting role where he's going to be the focal guy in terms of setting up the defensive alignment from the back end of the secondary, his communication, his leadership ability, his movement ability, his ball skills, his physicality. I think PJ Locke is really going to surprise some people. This might be my big hot take this year is PJ Locke is going to transform himself into a top 10 safety this year in the NFL.
I like it. I like it. Yeah, this one was probably the most challenging for me.
It was.
And some of the people you have were some honorable mentions. Definitely PJ Locke I was thinking about. But yeah, obviously mine, Patrick Surtain goes without saying. I have Jaquan McMillian.
Okay. Yeah.
On mine. And I also have I was a toss-up between Zach Allen but I put Baron Browning.
Okay.
And it's so I'm going to start with Jaquan McMillian. The reason why I put him on there just because he was just such a game changer last year, especially working in the slot. It was just so fun to see him, coming up with some of those blitzes as well. I want to see more of that. Hopefully Vance Joseph can employ that. And with Baron Browning, he just has to stay on the field. I know health has been a concern with him, but when he's on, I like what I see from the outside linebacker position. So I'm going with those three, but you're right on with PJ Locke. That's high praise, and I think it's definitely possible. I mean, what we saw from Locke last year when he was inserted into the lineup with the Jackson suspension, I mean, he took off. And I think it was when we were there for the Green Bay game.
It was.
We saw that, and so that's not a bad list. But yeah, this one is hard. There are a few good, I guess you can say, top players on defense, but we all know the defense is going to come down to there's still question marks just because of Vance Joseph. that's the dark horse here, but but the players are talented. It's just a matter of what is Vance Joseph going to do? What is he going to scheme up? That's been the knock here, but we'll see.
Before I go into the Vance Joseph thing, like the Vance Joseph side of things, I got to grab this from Papa Bear because he drops in with a $5 super chat saying, remember, we were 8-9 last year. 12-5 record is going to happen. I rest my case. I hope it happens. I hope it does. I hope that Bo Nix comes out and just tears the NFL apart. Sean Payton coaches this team into the moon and like overshoots every expectation. As it stands right now, and I guess I'm going to bring in some former bias to what we've seen and what we've seen over the last 8 years. Yeah. We always get our hopes all up and everything like that, and we always overhype this roster. I crapped all over the wide receiver room a couple of weeks ago because I don't think it's that good. I mean, Sutton's fine. Tim Patrick can't stay healthy. There's nothing there. It's an okay receiver room at best. The running back room is fine. They got some talent there. The offensive line is fine. It's okay. But how does it all work together? Naming an elite player on this team on offense, you can't. It's not there. There's not one singularly top 10. Well, maybe Quinn Miners. I will retract. Quinn Miners is probably the only top 10 player at his respective position on the entire offense. Same thing for the defense. You got Pat Surtain and then a bunch of nobodies. There's really not one top 10 player on this team out at their respective positions outside of Quinn Miners or Pat Surtain. They just don't have them. They don't have top 20 guys at half the positions on this team. This roster is not good, guys. And they're going up against one of the toughest schedules they've had in the last 10 years. The only team that they are better than right now is the Carolina Panthers. It's going to be some tough sledding. I want 12-5 to happen. I hope that it happens. Got to be real here, though. I don't think it's going to. And David, Papa Bear, I'm sorry to rain on your parade here, but I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. It's your opinion. That's fine. I'm going to come with you with some analysis here and say I don't think that 12-5 is ever going to be the case for this team, at least for another 2 years right now. Do you have anything for that?
Well, yeah, and so, but before I get to the Papa Bear again, I want to say or go back to your point on, I think the Broncos are better than the Patriots. I know you mentioned just the Panthers, but they're also better than the Patriots. So there are a few. I would even say the Cardinals. So there are a few teams. But going back, I'm going to put the Papa Bear's question or comment back up. So, David, again, thank you for coming in and thank you for your perspective. I'm gonna, David. Let's put this out here. So, remember that win streak the Broncos went on last year, and again, a lot of that was attributed to the turnover luck, the turnover battle. Do you see that happening next year?
No.
So that's one factor. Also, but I will say on the other side of that, Lance, is there were a few games lost because of Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
So now you have insert Bo Nix. And again, this is what we were seeing as far as some of that evaluation. And maybe Bo Nix can come in and help you win some of those games that Russell lost. So when you look at it from a record perspective, I mean, it kind of goes back to maybe looking at the same record that it was last year. Again, that 5-win game winning streak is not going to happen this year. I don't see that happening again.
Not when you're getting 3 or 4 turnovers a game.
3-4 turnovers a game. But yeah, so that's, let's say maybe 3 or 4 of those games without the turnover luck, they lose. But again, there's 3 or 4 games on the arm of Nix that you win, which kind of balances it out back to around that 8-9 win record.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's kind of how it may play out, next year. But David, I'm not saying anything can happen. The Broncos can sweep the Chiefs. Again, anything can happen. I guess I just don't see, based on what transpired last year, comparing last year to this year with mostly the same cast with a rookie quarterback and not factoring in things like the turnover battle, I just don't see where 12-5 is plausible. Again, now maybe I can see a ceiling of about 10 wins, potentially. I just don't see the more than 10. I just don't see it right now.
Well, and David, going back to your point about Russell Wilson here, David Youngkin comes in and says, with Bo, is it 2 or 3 more wins or 2 or 3 more losses? There are definitely points in the season where Russell Wilson helped them win a football game. Talk about Courtland Sutton for a minute and his touchdown production. Yeah. The throw that Russell Wilson made, escaping pressure, rolling out to his left, throwing on the run to Courtland Sutton in Buffalo, and dropping that ball exactly where it needed to be. That's a play. I don't think Bo Nix will ever make that play. That helped the Broncos win that game. They also got 2 early turnovers to go up 14-3, if I remember correctly. Yeah. So, with Bo, is it 2 or 3 more wins or 2 or 3 more losses? You got to you can't look at this thing in a vacuum, guys. I try to not do that as much as I possibly can. I bring the analysis as clean and as fair and objective as possible. But there's so many things that you can bring up for every argument to poke holes in every single narrative. To poke holes in whether it's going to be positive or negative, whether it doesn't matter. You stick true to your opinions. I'm going to stick true to mine. I don't think that 10 wins is even plausible. I barely think 5 wins is plausible for this team right now, as currently constructed. There are too many holes. But at the same time, as Ron said, anything can happen. We're just guys here talking on a microphone, like having fun with you on a Saturday night. It doesn't mean that my opinion is right or Ron's is right or David Youngkins is right or Papa Bear. Let's have some fun and talk some football. That's the overarching point here. Bring your opinions, bring your analysis, and let's debate it out, because we've got, what, 4 months now before we're actually going to see football. So I don't know. I guess long-winded tangent where I didn't have a point there, but
no. But I will say, I mean, again, David, thank you for the perspective, and I like the optimism for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
12-5. We if Broncos hit that, then it'll be a great season for Broncos country for sure. And we're talking, like I said, winning the division and such. But again, we're looking at it, and you're right, Lance. We can't look at this in a vacuum. But then but at the same time, we're giving our analysis based on what has happened these past 8 seasons, how the roster is currently constructed. Again, highlighting that there is a rookie quarterback on this roster, and there's going to be, again, that adjustment period. So again, not to say that double digits wins isn't possible. I just don't see it right now. But again, it's good to be optimistic. Papa, we appreciate it, my man.
Well, and Dave Jepson said, I know less about football than anyone in here, just learning. Don't say that. I think I know a lot about football. I probably don't. But at the same time, like, being here, learn, have a conversation, and enjoy it. Like, I'm not trying to call anybody out by any stretch of the imagination here. Learn some different perspectives, bring your opinions, and let's talk about it.
And some of this is projection too, as well, guys. Right? It's not. We like the different perspectives. We're just projecting based on, again, what has transpired in the offseason, what we've seen the past several years. So a lot of this is just projection, but you guys have different lenses, and we may see things differently. And again, that's why we're here. We like different perspectives. And speaking of that, the last ones, I know we're coming up on time here. The bottom 3 players on defense, and I'll go first here, Lance, because
go ahead. I want to hear this, because I want to hear this.
Damari Mathis, De'Aaron Turner-Yell, and Justin Sternad.
Okay. Okay.
And I mean, I can get into some details here, but Damari Mathis.
Go ahead.
We already know.
Break it down, Ron. But I want to hear your thoughts.
Damari Mathis was just, he had his opportunity at the start of last year. It just didn't pan out, and we just see him getting burned in coverage. He just looks lost out there, and I don't see him improving at all. Same with De'Aaron Turner-Yell. It just wasn't a great showing when he had to come in. Justin Sternad, I know he's probably more on the special teams. I've never kind of been a fan of him coming out of, I think he came out of Wake Forest.
Yeah.
And so I just don't see where they provide any value, quite honestly, Lance. Particularly in coverage. That's where you see Damari and De'Aaron Turner-Yell struggle in coverage. And again, I just don't see them improving. I don't see it. But I'm curious to hear your list. What do you have?
All right. So couple things here. One, you nailed the first one for me, Damari Mathis. He's definitely on my list. He's actually number 2 on my list. But the other 2 guys that you mentioned didn't even make my 53-man roster projection. Justin Sternad and De'Aaron Turner-Yell, they didn't even make the list for me. So I'm 100% with you. Sternad, though, I want to push back a little bit.
Okay.
And the reason why is because of, and this was something that I've been struggling with the new kickoff rules. and understanding how teams are going to build their rosters based on needing to have athletes that flow to the football really well and can take on blocks with some size and athleticism and just even be blockers on kickoff return and punt return. Strnad was one that I wanted to put on my roster for that specific reason, but I do think he offers some upside in coverage too. I really do. He's got good fluidity in his hips. This is coming from a fan of Justin Strnad at Wake Forest, by the way. I had a 4th round grade on him. He went in the 6th round, I think. Regardless, like Justin Strnad is a player. I don't think he's going to make this roster. I think Jonas Griffith is going to be the guy that actually does make this roster over Justin Strnad. And you got Delarian Turner-Yell. I think he's going to make the practice squad again. I have Riley Moss and JL Skinner making it above him. I think that there's some upside physicality that DTY brings, but I just think he still needs that extra year again to grow and learn. He's a bottom level of the roster guy anyways. For me, in terms of the bottom 3, I have Damari Mathis. I said number 2. He's actually number 3. Cody Barton. Linebacker Cody Barton. There's a reason why teammates and coaches and everybody calls him Mr. Backside, because he shows his backside to everyone that's around him. He shows his backside to the quarterback. He shows his backside in coverage because he gets chased out of his zones. He's not good in coverage. He's a downhill linebacker only, just kind of a guy. And he's going to be starting this season now because Drew Sanders is torn his Achilles and he's out. Like you have to have Cody Barton on this roster, and he is not a good football player, plain and simple. The next guy, and this is going to be a hot take, and there's going to be a lot of people pissed off at me. I'm kind of pissed off at myself for putting him here. Nick Bonito.
Ooh.
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
What's your rationale there?
So Nick Bonito had 7.5 sacks last season. 5 of them came untouched. He was not touched in the backfield. He was untouched coming off the line of scrimmage. He was untouched in the backfield. Literally had an open run to the quarterback just to show his athleticism, length, and the ability to get after the quarterback. He's terrible against the run.
The run, yeah.
Terrible.
Still not.
The development's not there. He lacks the size. He's got good length, but he lacks technique. He relies on his first step burst too often. And again, his production comes from either somebody else doing all the work for him to clean it up on the back end, or him being untouched to the ball carrier, whether it's the quarterback or the running back. Nick Bonito is a high upside player if you're going to use him in a rotation, specifically with a specified role. You have to define a role for him to be successful. He's not going to be a guy like Baron Browning can go out and be a guy to define his own role as a pass rusher. Jonah Ellis, I think, can be a defined role pass rusher. Jonathan Cooper is the best edge defender in terms of setting the run this roster has right now. And you're going to put Nick Bonito out there with the deficiencies that he has in his technique and his ability to stop the run on a regular basis. And he's going to be exposed this year.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess for Nick Bonito, I didn't have him like the highest. I wouldn't say maybe bottom 3, but I get your point, and because you're right, against the run, he's horrible. And you would think that he would have improved on that side, but last year I did not see any improvement at all. And I did see flashes, but you're right. I just don't. I don't know. And now with Jonah Ellis and folks coming in, I just don't see. But we'll see what happens.
I do like Jonah Ellis for the fit that he brings, but they're too similar. Nick Bonito and Jonah Ellis are very. It was almost a redundancy pick to me, and I didn't understand it. I wasn't a huge Bonito fan. I wasn't a huge Ellis fan in terms of where they were drafted. Or so let's see. I had Bonito was just outside of my top 100. I think I had Ellis just inside of my top 150. Like we're talking day 4, day 3, round 4, round 5 picks on both of these players. They're both so Benito was drafted 64. Ellis was drafted 76, I think, is where
yeah. Third
something
round,
like
yeah,
that.
76. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Overdrafted, over evaluated, underappreciated for what they are, but also underperforming for what this NFL game is going to ask of them. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem. You didn't go out and get a true Batman. Ellis is fine. Baron Browning, if he can stay healthy, is fine. Jonathan Cooper, he's fine. And when you typically say they're fine about somebody, you're saying they're not good.
Right. We could just put them in the rotation. And that you brought up the point I was going to make, because I mentioned this to Dylan. I think we were talking in the last week that, Jonah Ellis for me is just more of a rotational guy. He just doesn't bring. When I'm looking at pass rusher, I want a Von S. That person an opposing offense has to plan for. And again, you don't see that on the edge group further than no offense is going to come and look at Denver's edge group and be like, we're scared, and I think that's where I just think the Broncos could have done a better job with, in the draft or, in the offseason kind of getting that at least better than average pass rusher, because, the group as it stands, they're just a bunch of Robins. They put them up in rotation and just kind of mix them around.
Yep. I guess the one big thing is name one guy in the edge room that you can say go and win your matchup one-on-one.
Can't.
You can't. There is not one singular guy in this edge room. You got the defensive line because Zach Allen can win a one-on-one. Jonathan Franklin Myers can win a one-on-one. DJ Jones, they can all win their one-on-ones up front.
Yeah.
But when you say, I need you to go as a wide 9 stand-up edge rusher in this Vance Joseph defense and win a one-on-one battle against a tackle, can you do it?
No one can do it. No.
Not a damn one of them can. And it's disheartening. It really is. It makes, going back to the Vance Joseph argument here, I'm not going to give him too much credit here because I think that he fails to utilize versatile players the way that he needs to.
Yes.
He fails to utilize that talent. That scheme is solid, though. That scheme is rock freaking solid. It works when you have the talent to play with it, and I can give you the exact reason why. 2015. Denver Broncos won the Super Bowl. You know who taught Vance Joseph his scheme? Wade Phillips. This is the Wade Phillips scheme. Kind of diversified a little bit on the back end, but yes, this is a Wade Phillips scheme that Vance Joseph wants to run. Sean Payton ain't going to let him. He wants to run quarters.
So, yes, we'll see what happens with the defense. But, guys, this hour goes by so fast, Lance. We're over an hour. We're like almost 8 minutes over. So, but before we go, I'll reveal the PFF listing, and it ties into some of the players we already put out there. But the top 3 players that PFF has, there's no surprise. Patrick Surtain II, Quinn Miners, and Cortland Sutton are their 3 players. So again, that's a pretty good list. And again, it ties into what we have listed out as well. So
yeah, hard to argue it. If nothing else,
it's hard to argue it. Yeah, it's hard to argue with that one. Alrighty, guys. Well, that concludes our show for tonight. We appreciate you all joining us. And again, thank you again for showing us love, support every week, every day, every podcast. And especially tonight, the Memorial Day weekend. We appreciate it. If anything, make sure you subscribe, like, and share on all the platforms, with all of the podcasts out there. Also, make sure that you follow us if you have not already on X. I am at Ron White NFL. And my partner here is at Lance S _MHH. Before we go, Lance, do you have any parting words for Broncos country?
Nah, I think you pretty much touched it all. Thank you all for joining us on a wonderful Saturday for Memorial Day. Again, be safe this weekend, guys. Be safe out there. Appreciate why you have this weekend, but again, you all took an hour out of your wonderful weekend to join us, and we definitely appreciate that from each and every one of you guys. You all stay safe and take care. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys on Friday for Dove Valley Deep Divers. We'll see you guys later.
See you guys later. Thank you. Go Broncos.